ourselves and yourselves on the very, very great occasion that we are celebrating today. It's actually a privilege and a gift from God that we are here on the 125th anniversary of an event that we were not there when it was founded. We are talking of 4 generations of impact on an economy like Nigeria, Africa, and indeed the world. What are we saying here? We are saying that 125th anniversary of the beginning of business of First Bank of Nigeria. Imagine in 1894, I don't know where we were at that time, there was a boat that I think bowed somewhere around Marina there, and there was a Mr. Jones, Alfred Jones, who was around and had a motive that in order that the business of both the public and private sector could go ahead successfully, financial services have to be woven into the fabric, which is where First Bank started as the bank to bank a government, because most of the businesses at that time, you can imagine, could always and almost have been government business. Since 1894, we've been impacting society in a lot of ways through the activities of our bank. We have founded an institution that has given birth to so many other institutions, because at the pioneering position of the industry that we found ourselves, workers and other people were spawned out of us that related to, that became the various banks that were Nigerian banks, purely Nigerian banks, who are out there with us in various locations in Africa, founding businesses in banking and finance. And so therefore, many of our children, as it were, because all the banks were founded by people who worked also in either ourselves or another one close to us, who also was here perhaps a little later than we were there. I feel a particular sense of excitement and privilege, because to celebrate 125 years is not just good, but to build on the foundation that has been laid. Because what we are talking about here now is that we are discussing banking as a service to both the economy and to the development of the Nigerian nation. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say that us being here at this time, apart from being a privilege, I want to say that we should also note that what we are doing here is also making history. We are making history. Let us remind ourselves, what have we done in the time that we've been here? Sitting here is someone who was a staff of First Bank of Nigeria, who, because of his experience in various other places, including First Bank, he became the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Apart from him, the current Emir of Kano was also a staff of the First Bank of Nigeria, and who became a governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Apart from that, we have impacted the economy of Nigeria in a lot of ways. Many of our staff and associates have moved from our bank to serve Nigeria in the public sector as ministers, as permanent secretaries, and as advisors to government in a lot of ways. There is so much that we can say about what we have been. But what is most important is that our bank today continues to be a symbol of security, of safety, of development, finance, of economic development, and indeed of excellence in the services that we render. It is in particularly for me amazing that even though we are an old institution, we are not old in our ways. Our technology and our presence and the quality of our service underlines clearly inclusion, which is a fundamental policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria, where I am sure by the time you hear addresses from the executives, they will speak to you about the extent of the involvement of First Bank of Nigeria in the life and the economic life of Nigeria. Can I say to you that I feel a sense of excitement, and because I'm excited, I want to give the room to others to speak, particularly the executive, in order that they can share with you, I'm sure, an equal, if not better, larger sense of excitement. Thank you very much.
Again, like I promised us, we'll be out of here in a short while. Because the group chairman has given opportunities for the executive to speak, I'd like to start with Dr. Shola Adedutan to give us some words about what we're doing today, what we're starting today.
I acknowledge the group chairman of ABN Holdings, the board chairman of First Bank, the group managing director of ABN Holdings. I also acknowledge the presence of our highly revered Dr. Joseph Sanusi, former MD First Bank, former governor of Central Bank. Today is a very important day as the hoisting of flag at the Marina signal the commencement of the series of activities that we have lined up to celebrate 125 years of the existence of First Bank. Like I mentioned in my opening and welcome speech at the main session, it's been 125 years of providing top-class financial services to the country. It's been 125 years of supporting government and government initiatives. It's 125 years of providing real value to all our critical stakeholders, our staff, the government, regulators, and everything. So for us, it is not just about celebration. The hoisting of the flag also signals our posture in terms of what we are looking at over the next 125 years. Hoisting of flag denotes that we are here to stay. We are going to be here in perpetuity in terms of the bank. And for us, all actions, decisions, process and technology that we are implementing today in the bank are built to last. One critical thing about First Bank is, and the reason why we have successfully existed and we are still existing over the last 125 years, is our ability to reinvent ourselves. Ingrained in the DNA of this bank is our ability to lead disruption, ability to be part of disruption, and ability to be ready to be disrupted ourselves. And that is the reason why we have existed and we are existing. We actually belong to a very rare club of institutions, companies that have existed over 100 years. There are not too many companies all over the world, just 5 in Africa, that have existed over the more than 100 years. Today in Nigeria, we are a very dominant player in the financial services landscape. We have the largest customer base. We have the largest ATM network. Today, we decided to go into agency banking. Today, First Bank has over 13,000 agents. We are the only institution that is located in the entire length of 174 that we have in Nigeria. We have representatives for First Bank. in those locations. By the time you look at the fact that we have over 20,000 employees, we have more than 17 million customer accounts, we have more than 2,500 ATM, and today we process more than 20% of the entire transactions that happen in the entire financial sector. This is the systemically important bank. This bank is the in the course of our history, we've the role of central bank before central bank itself is founded. We've also been called upon to back players in the industry, and that the strength of our franchise, about the nature of the iconic institution whose 125th foundation we are celebrating today. Just like the group chairman highlighted, the current holders of this iconic institution is leadership. We are fully aware of the responsibility to ensure that we pass the baton on to the next generation in a stronger state than we have met it. And that is our commitment to the society. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we go to the question and answer session. Please, when you want to ask your question, just tell us your name and the medium that you represent. And maximum, if time permits, 2 questions per medium.
I like to just put on the table again one more responsibility that we owe. We owe a major responsibility to society as a leading member of the capital market. And this is where our own responsibility, when I say our own responsibility, myself as a non-executive director and she as a non-executive director, working with the executive directors, our responsibility to strengthen governance as a means of also strengthening, in turn, accountability to the owners and the respective stakeholders of our institution. We have about 1-something million shareholders who are owners of First Bank of Nigeria through the FBN Holdings Group, and we are deeply, deeply committed to good governance as a measure of assurance and safety of the investments. So we are a very notable institution on the Nigerian capital market, which is why the DG of NSC was here, and your questions can also speak in this connection. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we're ready for the questions now. Okay, let me be... can we have you?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ugo Aliogo. I'm a journalist from This Day. Okay, my name is Ugo Aliogo. I'm a journalist from This Day. Okay. Okay, I just have one question for the chairman of First Bank, Mrs. Ibuku Awoshika. I would like you to give us a track record of your support in terms of supporting SMEs and small businesses. What has been the success story? And going forward, where do you see loopholes and where do you want to address some of these gaps that you've noticed in the SME sector in Nigeria? Because they seem to be neglected, and the sort of funding that governments would arrange for them, it doesn't get to some of them. So as a result, First Bank has been a key driver. So I would like you to give us some of the success stories.
I'll take 2 more questions. And can I have it? Or one more.
Yeah, congratulations, First Bank. I'm David Auduara for Daily Independent, Nigeria. Yeah. I said congratulations for First Bank to First Bank. It's been a beautiful journey and a challenging journey, I believe. Can you tell us what has been the major landmarks of this bank for the past 125 years? And if possible, some of the challenges you faced along the way. Thank you.
I call on Ms. Awoshika to respond first.
Thank you very much for the question. I will take your question, and the MD will take the second question, so we can split it. Now, I think if you know me personally, you know that my antecedent is as an entrepreneur, and I grew up from a small business all the way to where my business is now. So I understand the sector that you're talking about. But historically, when you look at an institution like First Bank, and you look at the fact that in the last 125 years, before there were banks, we were the bank, which meant that every business that developed within the economy of Nigeria, one way or the other, was facilitated in multiple ways by First Bank as an institution. Now let's move forward, recognizing our history and all the antecedents of all those that have built the institution to where it is now, to when we took over years, and the things that we've done to even move that forward. If you are very conversant with developments in the economy, you will know that we've been very aggressive as an institution in terms of helping to develop the minds of entrepreneurs. Because we realize that money is part of the issue, but money isn't all the issue. And that while there's a lot of entrepreneurial knowledge, the entrepreneurial excitement and entrepreneurial passion by Nigerians of entrepreneurial knowledge, you also have a lot more substantial entrepreneurs for the economy and for the massive unemployed young people is scalable entrepreneurship. Also because it makes it easier for them to be funded by financial institutions. Don't forget that we're only keepers of other people's assets. If you have a savings account at First Bank and you have money with us, you want to be sure that whenever we deploy your money, that we deploy it in a responsible manner and in a way that guarantees that we're able to pay you back when you come to ask for your money. So what we've done is to invest heavily in organizing programs to help develop the knowledge and the skills of those in the entrepreneurship space. And they form the SMEs that you're talking about. And then as we invest in their development and their knowledge gap, we're also facilitating the ability for them to have the right kind of financing for the business. So we have certain kinds of partnerships that we've been involved in. We've worked very closely with Bank of Industry as a partner to develop the kind of sustainable financing that SMEs can apply for. Because what we sell is based on the cost at which we get the money. If you give us deposit now and you expect us to pay you 13% interest, we cannot give out a loan at anything below that because we're going to add cost and everything. So generally, commercial banking money sometimes is expensive for SMEs because of their size and their scale. So part of what we've done is not just to think about our own profit, but to think about the industry and how to grow the economy, which is why we have partnerships with organizations like Bank of Industry, so that we can organize the kind of funding that is at a more manageable cost that will support SMEs in their different spheres. We're aggressively involved in agriculture because we recognize that the agro-allied value chain is major to the Nigerian economy. Oil is a dwindling asset in terms of play within the world economy. And because the government has a focus, and we believe in that focus in diversifying the economy of the nation. And to support that, we're aggressively funding the value chain of agriculture, even as those businesses emerge and they're structured in a viable manner. That's only one part of what we're doing. This is something we continue to do. If you've seen reports, we've been to, I don't know how many campuses. We're running this entrepreneurial mindset across campuses so that we can prepare them as they graduate to be entrepreneurs. We have SME clinics that we run regularly and aggressively. We have a program that we run with Lagos Business School to help empower middle-level businesses so that they have the capacity to scale up and so that they're in the form where they can get the right kind of financing from us. So as a nation builder, we're definitely aggressive about fulfilling our role. We intend to do more. We have some plans up our 125th anniversary that will add to that process. And our commitment is that everything that is possible to do, that makes sense and that is viable economically for our institution and for our accountability to all our stakeholders, you can be sure that we will do it.
A very quick response to your question is very easy for me to say First Bank has impacted the Nigerian nation in several ways. Our bank, First Bank, we have impacted the Nigerian nation in several ways. And I will just speak to one or two areas where we have made significant impact on the society. One is on financing, which is our primary responsibility as a bank. The first set of credit facility ever provided by any bank projects that litters the country today were financed by a bank. I would mention two phases. The privatization program of government over the last 30 years, First Bank has been a very, very important player in that scheme. The most recent one is the divestment by the international oil companies from the oil and gas assets that were onshore. First Bank played a very leading role in that particular space. So in the area of financing, First Bank provided you recall some 20 upstream oil sector used to be preeminent position just for the international oil companies. But in the last 10-15 years, a number of Nigerian companies have successfully venture into that space. A number of them are doing very well. There's hardly any such acquisition that happened over the last 10 years that our bank, First Bank, did not play a very prominent role. And that speaks about the foundation of our business. We look out for profitability, but everything is not about profitability. We are also thinking about the developmental impact of all our lending. How does it impact the economy? How does it impact the larger society? How do we work with government to grow the economy so that the GDP base could grow further? That's one aspect where we played a very prominent role. The other aspect where this bank is second to none is the provision of skilled manpower into the entire sector. We've mentioned two prominent Nigerians here today, and we're lucky that we have our rival leader, Dr. Joseph Sanusi, with us. First Bank provided a platform on the back of which it was appointed the governor of the central bank. The group chairman also cited the example of the current emir of Kano, His Royal Highness Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, who was also a former MD of First Bank. And there are several others. This bank has produced Minister of Finance, we produced diplomat, and so in several areas, we've contributed significantly into development of manpower. I would also like to touch upon our corporate social responsibility, which is an area where we've set out as an institution to help to develop the quality of education in Nigeria. As I speak here today, we have over 15 professorial endowments in various universities across the country where this bank is funding. Again, for us, it's about supporting the quality of tertiary institution. In the course of responding to the question on SME, our chairman mentioned the fact that we take it upon ourselves to go to the campuses to begin to train the next generation of Nigerians coming out of the university. Two programs, actually. We have some set of program focusing them on how to become entrepreneurs. We also have one that I personally lead, preparing them for the job environment, career development. How do you prepare yourself for the job? So, in every aspect, this bank has contributed. As I speak today, our flagship subsidiary, FBN Bank UK, is the biggest sub-Saharan Africa outside, in the UK, outside of the South African bank. Again, supporting African businesses across the continent. And that is what this institution is well known for. So, I can go on and on and on in terms of our contribution, but be rest assured that we are not just looking backward. It's about the next 125 years, taking the bank to the next level. I also mentioned something. Today, We are the only bank in Nigeria that has issued more than 10 million cards. In the whole of Africa, we are second. We have in issue more than 10 million cards to all our customers. Again, it speaks volume. I mentioned the fact that we are present in all the 774 local government that makes up this Federation of Nigeria. It speaks volume about also supporting government agenda around financial inclusion in a profitable way while supporting growth agenda of the government. So we are poised for the next 125 years. We are fully prepared, and the current leadership under our group chairman, we will hand over a stronger, better institution to the next generation.
Olu Phillips.
Good morning, everybody. Distinguished leaders of First Bank. I can track back a bit about some of the events you've held in the past, like when you had, this question is actually directed to Mrs. Mumin. Yes, actually. The initiatives you had with the Grameen Bank MD, the launch of certain products you had somewhere on the Broad Street that had to do with financial inclusion, and some of other programs you've drawn up as you traveled along. Maybe you want to run us on how that has impacted on perhaps the bottom line of the bank, and how that has strengthened the relationship between the bank and the consuming public. That would be one. And secondly, quickly, will be I'd like you to speak to the spine you've developed in being able to sustain this 125 years. The culture, I mean, yes, it's enough. You're big already, so we expect some of the things you've talked about. But what's the culture behind the bigness?
Sorry, good afternoon. My name is Bukola Idowu. I write for Leadership newspaper. First Bank is a legacy institution in Nigeria. I'm not sure that the history of Nigeria can actually be complete without First Bank. The next 125 years, we're looking at banking. In the next 125 years, banking is actually changing. Banking is changing. Big techs are actually taking a big chunk of banking business. As an institution that has been able to reinvent itself over the years, changing itself, changing from being an old people's bank to a young people's bank, how are you going to, what are the things that are being done as a bank to ensure that banking, you continue to reinvent yourself and then keep sustaining even as, yes.
I think Ms. Munin should start with the response from Olu Phillips.
Thank you very much. It's interesting that you asked the question you asked. It shows that you've been following us for a very long time because you were specific. Indeed, the bank has always invested along the lines of our strategy, making sure that we bring the right people who can share with us expertise and experience from around the world. And you alluded to the time when we brought Mohammed Yunus, the Nobel laureate and founder of the Grameen Bank. And if you know anything about the Grameen Bank, you know that from a scientific point of view, the model that they run is a model that is known for that First Bank has been at the forefront of. We're deliberate about ensuring that our footprint, as my MD mentioned, we're in every single local government. So in terms of the bricks and mortar branches and the networks we have, we remain committed to perhaps those markets that some of our peers are not necessarily committed to. In addition to that, he also mentioned that we have over 13,000 agents across the country as a whole. Why do we do this? It is because we believe that without financial inclusion, the potential that is that of Nigeria will remain a potential forever. We believe that if you tie in financial inclusion and the strategies we have around that, around capacity building, around really making sure that our products are designed for inclusion so that the underbanked and the unbanked are brought into this. Believing that if we do that and we tie that to our SME products, indeed we will begin to see the SMEs as a true engine of growth that they're supposed to be. So we have a number of initiatives, and we dare say that we're the thought leaders in terms of financial inclusion. We partner with the regulators, the Central Bank of Nigeria, for example, and we sit actually on the steering committee of the Sustainable Banking Principles. It's a committee across all the various banks who look at how we ensure that financial inclusion is not just something that we all pay lip service to, but is something that is actually deeply ingrained within the strategy across our entire family, FBN Holdings. So within the bank we do that, but we all do that in FBN Merchant Bank and FBN Insurance, which are also part of our financial service stable that we offer. So across the board, you see us as the thought leaders, the pioneers in financial inclusion in Nigeria. We will continue to do that. We are committed to continuing to do that. One of the things I'm going to mention also is, I want to quickly say that in your packs, you actually have flash drives in your packs that has detail upon detail. The reason why we have prepared that for you is because if we're to start talking about every single thing that we've done, we'll be here till tomorrow. And as you can hear, we've had to open the road so that traffic can be eased. But please make sure that you check your packs. There are individual drives and the flash drives in there with details of everything we've done. There are images from our session with Professor Yunus within the flash drives that you have. Okay. Now, the second question you asked was around culture. Without a doubt, you've heard it said that culture eats strategy for lunch. With the very best strategy in the world, if the culture is not right, then it's very difficult for you to attain your strategic goals and objectives. The culture within our group is one of inclusion. We think group first. Like I said, we're a financial services supermarket, because within our financial services we have the commercial bank and we have the merchant bank and we have the insurance group and so many more. So we think group. The culture we also have is reinforced regularly. My MD mentioned earlier on that we know how to reinvent ourselves. And if you think about the fact that right now our workforce is actually made up of very many young people, younger perhaps than the perception is out there. I believe we're at, I think 45% of our workforce being extremely young, and we have a lot of millennials around with us as well. We have a deliberate policy, and in fact, I think it was just recently, up until last year, we took on board 700 very young new staff into our foundation school, and it's an ongoing program where we take on 200 at a batch, 300 at a go. Therefore, the culture has to be such that without doing away with the expertise that has made us who we are, we have to be able to also accommodate the millennials amongst us. So there are deliberate programs wherein we reinforce the culture, we reinforce our values, and we ensure that what's at the forefront of the minds of all of FBN Holdings is not necessarily profit. It's what we've said. It's about sustainable, profitable growth, but it's also about doing right by our customers. We put the customers at the heart of our business, but the customers are not the only people who are at the heart of our business. Our staff are also at the heart of our business. I think that's the winning formula. If you think about what we say people, passion, and partnership. By saying you first. The you first that's within our culture is not just about the customers, it's also about the staff. And that's what we drive. And that's what's seen us through the last 125 years. We believe it will see us through the next 125.
I think I give it to.
You are very interested in the issue of our programs and the things that we're doing that have helped us further. So I just want to talk about, in the last 3 years, we've had a major focus on women. Because we're a nation-building institution, and we realize that literally 50% of the population of the country is made up of women. And the potential for growth within the economy of the nation has to come from that latent portion of the population. And therefore, as an institution, we decided to focus on building the ability of that portion of the population to be greater contributors to the growth of the economy. But we started from, we combined a strategy of wealth building and business building, which is our SME parts that you're talking about. So we have this program that we call First Gem, which has essentially focused on empowering women, teaching them the knowledge to be able to build personal wealth. But in the process of building personal wealth, we also empower you to build better businesses and to be able to accumulate resources rather than consume resources in a way that the resource that you gather is more useful for the economy of the nation. And what we're hoping to do is to pass that through the generations. If you want to teach a household something, teach the woman, because she would ensure that her husband knows, but even better still, she would ensure that her children know. And our role as a nation-building institution is activated across different spheres. And for us right now, apart from SMEs, building corporate businesses and everything else that we're doing, we're aggressively driving the female agenda as a way to unleash the latent potential that is in women in order to grow the economy of the nation.
Just to add to the response to your question, we've been very deliberate around innovation. You asked the question, how do we counter the impact of fintechs? For us at First Bank, and I mentioned it in passing when I said part of what has kept this institution intact and we have moved from strength to strength is our ability to disrupt, to be part of disruption, and we are ready to also be disrupted. And coincidentally, we have Dr. Joseph Sanusi with us. In 1995, Dr. Sanusi started the Century 2 project, which was to prepare this institution for the next 100 years. We that are running the institution today, we have picked that up. We have a project we call Project Primus, which is to make us the number one in all the markets where we operate. Embedded within that is innovation. We have a structured way to innovation because at the end of the day, just like you mentioned, the face of the banking sector is changing and changing very rapidly. The fourth revolution, which is the digital revolution, is on now. And for you to be a successful bank of today and that will be relevant tomorrow, you have to have innovation at the heart of your business. We currently have what we call First Bank Digital Laboratory located in Yaba, which is like an incubator. That is where we look at so many things, new products, new ways of doing things that we launch to the market. We also have an enterprise innovation unit that basically evaluates other markets that are way ahead of us and saying, what is the growth path? How have they moved over the last 20 years? How can we abridge that journey to ensure that we get to the destination? So, critical to our success is innovation, ability to be part of disruption, ability and capacity to lead disruption. And that is what our innovation without ceding any space. Thank you.
Just one thing to add to what he said. You know, in reality, you think about the fintechs and you think we're threatened. But in the real sense, every fintech organization that you speak to will tell you categorically products they want to sell. But the platform to be able to deploy it, the first platform that they seek is First Bank. Why? We're sitting on a large customer base that fintech needs to hook on. We have the license that they to make a success of it. The first institution they want to talk to all of the time is First Bank. So we get to pick and choose based on our own strategy and our own plan which fintech company or product aligns with our goal that we partner with. So it's easy to think that innovation will always override the institution, but in reality, it's more a collaborative agenda. And because we understand who we are, and we're not sitting back like the MD said, we're also innovating along. We're able to take value, even from the innovation of others, through partnerships and collaboration in order to help the economy by allowing the fintech companies to grow, but even more importantly, for us to add value to our own institution and create value for our stakeholders. Thank you.
Okay. Let's have you. That's the last question because, as Ms. Amina said, a lot of the answers are in our packs.
My name is Alfred. I work for Nairametrics. Yes. First, you talked about your digital lab. I know that at the last FinTech Summit held last year, the winner of the hackathon that was done was for check discounting. I want to know where the bank is on that particular project, if it has been implemented, because it also will go a long way to for financial inclusion. And also, there are a lot of ideas that came out of the hackathon. I don't know what the bank is doing towards implementing them, because they are very wonderful ideas. And also for the fintechs that give out soft loans that doesn't require much. In fact, some of them, they don't even ask you questions. All you just need to do is use a USSD code and you access soft loans at a good rate. I don't know if First Bank also have plans to go in that dimension in terms of financial inclusion. And my last question, does your group plan to list outside Africa?
Thank you. I think
a key part of our strategy is collaboration with fintechs. And the hackathon that you refer to is one of the several platforms by which we partner with fintechs. Regarding the winner of that particular hackathon, ideas need to move to development, needed to be tested before it now becomes a product. Along the line, depending on the nature of the product, we are required to obtain regulatory approval. So sometimes the time from when the idea is developed to market launch varies depending on the complexity and the kind of requirement regulatory. So that particular initiative is on among several other initiatives that we are following. One thing that is clear for us is a two-pronged strategic approach. We can compete on our own, but more importantly, we've created partnership and collaboration platforms that enable us to work with fintech. However, fintech itself, the product they offer, like the chairman highlighted, more often than not require the last leg, which is the bank, for it to manifest. And that's where a bank of our size comes in. And we are strategically well positioned to take advantage of that. Now, regarding the question on, I've forgotten the question. What was your second question? On soft loans, we currently have a product that has been quite successful in the last 3 months. We call it SODA, which is a salary overdraft. We've piloted that internally. It's working very well. We've launched it in the market, and the reception has been fantastic. The second phase of that, and that is soft loan tied to people who are on payroll. So it's tied to payroll. The second phase of that is to go to people who are not on payroll, but you can identify their cash flow to be able to repay. Again, it's part of innovation. It's part of financial inclusion and expanding the breadth of what we are doing. So we're fine. The question on listing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to respond to the question around do we plan to list outside Nigeria? But before then, I just want to make the point that we are proud as FBN Holdings of the achievements of our flagship, the First Bank of Nigeria Limited, over the last 125 years. And therefore, that makes us, at the holding company level, the premier and, of course, the largest financial services group in Nigeria today. When we say that, we lay claim to our dominance in the commercial banking space and also our active play in the merchant bank and asset management sector, and of course what we are doing in the insurance space. Just as we are celebrating the commercial bank, we can list a whole lot of achievements that have been recorded by the merchant bank, which is branded FBM Quest Group, and also the insurance. Today, the insurance company is the fastest growing insurance company in Nigeria. And we are proud of what they are doing. Talking about the life business. And it's not just about taking insurance to the cities. We are also present across the length and breadth of Nigeria. Wherever you find First Bank, we have a life or a general insurance staff embedded in those branches,
Why is that important? Insurance has very low penetration in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, less than 1%, whereas South Africa has about 15%. And we are saying that we can play a very dominant role in championing insurance deepening in Nigeria. The same thing you can say for our Quest group, where we are supporting the sovereign, that's federal government, and the sub-nationals to raise bonds and to raise capital for infrastructure development. The latest we can easily mention is the Sukuk bond, where we raised 200 billion naira in 2 tranches, and they were all oversubscribed based on the pedigree of our franchise. So we are proud of what we are doing across those spaces. Now, at the holding company level, I need to say there is so much confidence by the investing public in the brand, so that today we can say we are the largest in terms of shareholder base. We have about 1.3 million shareholders, all believing in the group. And 17 of that you can attribute to international institutional shareholders. And about 36% will be retail. And so we are supporting families, hundreds of millions of people across the globe of income. That is what we offer. That is a widely diversified financial services group, and we bring synergy and collaboration. More like saying that we're a one-stop shop. That is what we go to market with. That is the mantra, that when you have discovered the commercial bank, you've also discovered the merchant bank, you've also discovered insurance. And it makes us relevant today and into the future. Listing is not something you do without a deliberate plan. At the time the founding fathers set up First Bank in 1894, they had a view of a pan-African institution with headquarters in Nigeria but presence across the globe. That is why 2 years after 1894, by 1896, we are in Gold Coast, as it then was, Accra. And 2 years after, we are in Sierra Leone. Today, we have expanded the scope of our coverage, and we're in 6 African countries. We're in Asia, and we're in Europe. Now, these are bold statements aligning with the vision of the founding fathers. In the course of time, we'll evaluate opportunities, even as we work with regulators and as we work with investors. But we have a view that we'll continue to maintain headquarters in Nigeria here, and then we'll spread our network. And when the time is right and regulation is also conducive, we will be able to make a statement with respect to listing in those foreign markets. I hope you'll be comfortable with the response I've given. Thank you.
I thank you very much. I just want you, when you are leaving, to leave with a clear impression, which is that First Bank, we are celebrating 125th anniversary, which means we're an old institution, but I want to assure you that our operations are modern and our relationship with our customers are extremely modern, technologically driven, digital and inclusive, working in accordance with the best in efficiency, with the best in the market today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As we bring this to a close, I just want to share with you some of the other activities that we will be having as we commemorate 125 years of this iconic institution. This indeed is our celebratory month. This is the month that we have chosen because 31st of March is when we will be 125 years old. But the entire year will be an anniversary year. So we will be celebrating throughout the entire year. But it's not just about celebrations. We will be telling our stories, and we look forward to partnering with you as we tell that story. I think the story of First Bank is one that all Nigerians should be proud of. As far as I'm concerned, and the way we all feel about this is that we're all celebrating this together. Because this is one more thing, one great thing out of Nigeria that we can be very proud of to take to the world. So when you go out there next and you're at the airport, you have a brand that is a very solid brand, that is a Nigerian brand that competes very easily with any of the other brands globally. Indeed, we're in very good company because globally there are very few brands who are over 100 years old. That's the reason why one of your competitor, I will not mention their name, do a program called the 100 Club. Because very few people live to be 100 years old. Very few companies live to be 100 years old. So what are we doing? On the 22nd of March, we will be having a Jumat Thanksgiving service. You will see details of all of this as we continue. On the 24th, we will be having the Christian Thanksgiving service. I'm particularly pleased to tell you that on the 26th of March, in the morning, we have the renowned professor of economics, Darren Achemoglu, the most cited economist in the last 10 years. I mean, Google him, that is what you will hear. That is the accolade given to him. He's a professor of economics from MIT. We will be having a lecture very similar to the lecture you mentioned, where we brought and invested in having a not Farid Zakaria, we invested in Professor Yunus. Well, he will be coming to speak on institutional impact on economic growth and improved living standards. What more evidence of our commitment to making sure that we collectively improve living standards in Nigeria? That is what is at the heart of the First Bank brand. Thank you very much, and Tunde will do the close for us.
Well, yeah, what's the observation? Don't worry, it will all be published, don't worry. In rounding, while I want my GMD to give the final word, at the end of it all, I want us to have a photo op, sir, as soon as we're done. So I want my GMD, Mr. UKK MFR, to give us the final word.
Let me first of all acknowledge the leadership that the group chairman has provided to this group. Working with the board of FBN Holdings, we've been able to sustain the vision of our founding fathers. That's also been devolved to the various boards, and I want to acknowledge the indefatigable Mrs. Awoshika, the chairman of the board of directors, First Bank of Nigeria Limited, working again with her board. I want to acknowledge the great strides that we've achieved in the last 3 years under leadership of Dr. Shola Adedito, working with his executive team. That also resonates with all the subsidiaries that we have given birth to, and we are also shepherding. For us, this is a franchise that is iconic. It's a heritage, a national heritage we should all own and be proud to be part of. I am particularly honored to be at this position today as the GMD of FBN Holdings. But beyond what we are doing with over 20,000 skilled workers, impacting societies, impacting nations, shaping culture across the globe, we are committed absolutely to this nation. That's why we say we are woven into the fabric. And if you look at the logo of our celebration, you're going to see diversity. And I think you should take time to understand the elements of it. You have a bit of the Yoruba culture, you have a bit of the Benue culture, you have a bit of the Igbo culture, even a bit of Kente or Ghana culture, and United Kingdom, which is Scotland, embedded there. So for you, see this as
and then, yeah. I think stand this way. Yeah, just standing.